Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Lisa Cotter and today we are working on my very first colour along. So I thought we would actually do a free PDF from Johanna Basford's website. Now I have chosen a page which is this one here. Now this seems simple enough. It's available for free on Johanna Basford's website. I have actually provided a link below to this page for you to download yourself. Now it is a PDF so you can print it out yourself. I am using the Arrtx coloured pencils. I'll also be using white Secura jelly roll, and the only other thing you should possibly need is your erasers, which I always have these on my desk. These are my Tombos, and I always have one of these on my desk. Just a little brush to brush off any dust. And I have also worked out a colour scheme for this as well. So I have a swatch chart and it is going to be in the community tab. So if you go there, you can find a before picture of this page that I've done, as well as the swatch chart. So this is the page I practiced today, and this is what we'll be working on, as you can see there. So I hope it won't take too long, and I hope there's enough detail here that I can show you some different things. But this one is what we'll be working on today. Now, if you do not have the Arrtx colour pencils, the swatch chart that is in the community tab, you can match up your colours of your own pencils there. I want this to be available to anyone who, I don't mind if you don't have the Arrtx colour pencils, just use what you can. It's about having fun. Colouring is meant to be fun. So I just want it to be relaxed and enjoyable, and be able to teach how I colour in and improve myself. So I have written out swatch charts and made these little cards here so you can see the colours I'm going to be using. So now this will actually be a speaking video. I thought for my first one I would speak instead of making it so it's just music, but in the future I may time lapse it. So this one may be a long video, I'm not sure, depending on how long this takes for you all. So I've made this little swatch here, and when I always do sort of flowers, I always do some of them the same elements, the same colour. So for the inside of the flower here, we're going to use the same colour for that. So these are, sorry about the noise, the colours, and I'll put them here. And I've sharpened my pencil, so make sure your pencils are sharp. You don't have to have them that sharp, but that's how I keep them sharp. And so this one we're going to start off with is light yellow, and this is for the inside of the actual flowers. Now try and keep my hand the best of time so you can actually so you can see what we're doing. This is not natural for me, so I've been practicing a ton today to try and get better. But we're just going to colour the whole thing. That is the first base. Now what I do is I am heavy-handed with colouring, so you may do it lighter than this, but for me I don't need to go over and layer, but this is your base colour, and then we'll be going in and actually doing some more colours added to that, so we're all going to have all the same. Just makes it easy. So if my hand does go too much into the shot, do let me know. But some of these placements where they've got the... It's very difficult for me to see if my hand's in the way. And I can tell you, a lot of YouTubers make this look easy, and it's not at all. And but I will learn. It's like that your body gets used to doing things a certain way. So that was the light yellow. We are now going to go in with the Chromium Yellow Deep. That is 1025. So with this, I thought the light will be shining as if the direct sunlight's going that way. So we're going to have around the this side, we're just going to darken up slightly. Sorry about that. So just there. You don't have to press hard. I'm not pressing hard. Just do your layering. And whatever skill level you are, you know, I don't mind. It's about having fun and learning a new skill, because we're all different. We all do things differently. So now with this page, I haven't used a blender. Now the background is small enough where I didn't need one. On a bigger page, sometimes I do need a blender pencil. I like to use the Prisma one. If you want to use a blending pencil or a blending solution, that is totally up to you. But I've sorted away with majority of my pencils. I found some of them didn't work as well, that I use it just blend into the next color, and I will show you what I mean with this one. So the next color is Sunburst Yellow. That is 1033. So again, trying to make it so my hand's not in the way. And we're just going to darken up that side, leaving a bit of the light on that other side. So I sat making these little swatch charts on my Photoshop this afternoon to make it, because my handwriting is terrible. So I thought I'd make it up, because I like making charts. So I made that up just to make it easier, because I want everyone to be able to join in with what I do. And that's a way for people to have a swatch chart where they can go, oh, that's the colours we used. So the next one is Goldenrod. This is 1069. Now, if I have made a mistake of any of these colours or their names, I do apologise. But I've pretty much, I think I've got it all correct. So it's about just darkening up these lines. As I said, I don't want the video going too long for you. So in this one, we're going to actually colour the inside a bit darker. And because if you look here, there's actually a petal over the top. Now, this flower here, I'm inspired by a sunflower I saw on Facebook. Now, if I can find that image again, it was actually a peachy coloured, pinky coloured sunflower. It was amazing. I'll add it to the video, but if not, you'll have to take my word for it. But just even light layers. And you will find, most probably because this is small, you won't need a blending pencil. So see the way I blend, and I'll explain that further. And then last of all, we're going in with some burnt ochre, and that's more for dark shadow. So that one is 6076. So I'll bring my hand around here. And as you can see, that adds a nice golden tone to the yellow there. And sometimes it is hard to get into those little details. So, and again, we're going to go around in the middle there. Now with this one, we're actually going to colour these little petals. So it's sort of like a sunflower, or I thought it was. Makes it a bit different from everything else. And then just around here. Just making sure you can all see. I can tell you now, it's trying to colour. Make sure you're doing the right thing. It's definitely a skill that I never thought I'd have to learn. So that was for the inside of the actual flowers. Now we're going to move on to this big flower here. And I've called it Flower 1. So these are the colours. And these are all the pencils, and I've sharpened them up. I've been very organised for a change. Usually I'm not this organised. My desk looks like a bomb's hit it usually. So with this one, when I go in with flowers, I always like to have it go from dark to the light. So we're going to start at the end. So we're going to put some light at the end here. Now you can do it any way you want, but this is how I do it. Again, you don't need to do hard pressure because this will all be blended in. And then where there's petals here, we'll do these here. But I thought this page, when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's perfect for a colour along. Now, I do believe Johanna Basford did do a live video on Facebook. It was well before I started colouring, but I think the video is still up. I'm not sure if it's on her YouTube account, but she does have some really good tutorials on her YouTube as well as Facebook. So, oh, one here we missed, or I missed. Make sure I haven't missed any more. And so that was Peach Puff. That is 3011. That is one of the new colours. Now, if you have the 72 set, this isn't in there, but just use whatever lightest you have. You could even do cream. I think that's in that one. So we're going to go up more closer to where we actually did that Peach Puff with the Seashell Pink. That is 3012. Because we're going to do sort of like a gradient. Now, as I said, if you follow this, I'm doing tight little circles, and I don't take my pencil off the paper. And this makes it so you don't have to blend. You don't have to blend out your pencils so much. That's my secret anyway. I find if you take your pencil off too often, you get lines showing up, regardless if you actually do the little tight circles or the little tight scribbles. But this, you're just doing smooth shading, all one pressure, nothing, because you're going to use different colours to actually build up to make it darker. And as I said, I do like to use some of the same colours in my colouring pages, so that way you're not got too many colours going. So for this one, it'll be another flower getting coloured similar to this, not as dark. But this one's a pretty colour. So I'm hoping to have this video out tomorrow. I have some editing to do with it. So that was Seashell Pink, and now we're going into Blush Pink. Now, some of these will be colouring over the top, don't fear. There is method to my madness. So this is Blush Pink 40008 rather. Sorry about that. Lost my train of thought. Now, if I can't put this swatch chart on my community tab, because I haven't totally checked that out yet, I will put it on my DeviantArt page. That is where you will find all my free PDFs, my artwork, my free pixel bases, and other such things that I do there. That's my main hub. I've had that running for many, many years. So as you can see, it's starting to darken up. So I started out many years ago doing pixel art. It used to be called Palace Dolls, I guess you could call it. But I used to do pixel art back in the day, back in the early 2000s. I actually started back in the 90s, and I was playing a MMO, and we used to make pixel art signatures for forums, which were all the craze back then, forums. And so I had a website called Heart's Desires Fantasy, and that's how I started out with my art. And from there I started drawing as well. I'm a self-taught artist. I love to draw. I don't just colour in colouring books. I love to draw, but mine's more cartoon based art. So this one we're going in with pink. That is 4003. And it's just about darkening up. Now I don't want you to go too back into that pale, because we're creating that lightness at the end of the petal. So as you can see, it's starting to darken up. Now, with my camera, the colours don't totally come out looking as they are. That's why I've written the swatch chart. Someone thought with the skin tone that I'd use yellow, and it was actually peach. I've got one of the latest apples, but it's still isn't totally accurate colour wise. Might be the brightness. But as I was saying, I started out, I had a big website for a long time, and I used to build my website. So I self-taught myself to do HTML. This is back before we had all the C++. And then I used to make pixel websites and layouts. I wish I had photos of them still to show, but sadly I've gotten new computers and formatted over time and lost everything. So but my dolls are still, or I call them dolls, but they're pixel art, are still up on my actual DeviantArt, and all the bases I used to make. So if you're ever interested in doing pixel art, do let me know. I love doing pixel art. I've got a few tutorials up there, written ones as well. So the next colour we're going to go into is Carmine Red. And this is just around the edge here to add that brightness, as well as a bit of as if it's a shadow peeking out from the other petals. You don't want it totally over. So but as you can see, with this, I'm not pressing hard on my pencil. My pencil is still staying super sharp. And that's the main thing, having your pencil sharp. I haven't had to blend out the pencil. And it's just about leaving your hand, just getting that, not moving your pencil off the page. And everyone does things differently, but it's just the way I do it. I don't want anyone to feel like their way's wrong. It's just how I've self-taught myself. But when I first began, I didn't know what I was doing. So I've been colouring books close to 2 years. Come May, it'll be 2 years. And I haven't got many done, I can tell you that now. I haven't finished a book. I don't think I ever will for a long time. So that one was Carmine Red, and now we're going in with the last one, which is Crimson Red. So we'll brush this off first. So this is more for shadow. So so what we do is just around there where the line is, we just do a little bit. So it's as if you can see that shadow. Now I don't want to overtaking the whole thing, but just a bit of shadow every so often. Now I'll show you how I blend out as best as possible in a minute. But as you can see, it really darkens it up. And it just adds that pop, so it makes it pop off the page. It gives it that 3D effect. Now you could do this in a darker colour or a black. I'd stay away from black, but there's a brown, like an espresso brown, that I use a lot when I use my prisms, and I know that there's one with Arrtx, sorry, I always say Arrtx, Arrtx colour pencils, and you can actually use that as shadow, but for this page I haven't. I thought it didn't need it once it actually completed it. But as I said, if you don't have all these colours, don't feel like you need to have all these colours. But I've been asked how I do things. So we'll just go in here. Whoops, my hair coming, sorry. Having one of those days today. I burnt myself cooking dinner, and I put my hand to get dinner out the oven and burnt my hand, and I've also got a ear infection at the moment, so I'm not feeling the greatest, but I really want to get this so I can get this done for everyone. So how I blend out my colour pencils is, after I've done everything, I take the lighter shade and just blend that in. So instead of using like a white or a blender pencil, you can actually just use the colour you used before. So for this one, I'll just use the Peach Puff. I love the name of that pencil, Peach Puff. It's definitely one of my favourites. I actually really love all the pastel colours in this set. If they brought out a pastel set, it would be amazing, and have all cute names like Peach Puff, because I think that's adorable. So as you can see, that's totally made it so it looks 3D. So that is the biggest flower there. Now the next one we are going to do is we're going to actually go in with our Peach Puff again. And we're going to do the ends as I did before. But this time we're not going to do as many reds. So this is going to be a lighter. So this is Peach Puff 3011. And I thought this time we'd do the little circles around, like the little petals here. I thought we'd do them, the Peach Puff as well. So now that one's done, and then we're going to go in again with the Seashell pink. Now you'll notice some of these colours I will be using in other areas here, but this will give it a different colour slightly than this one. But at the same time, you're reusing a colour you've already done. And then we'll go in with this one, because I don't want it to overpower the page. It's just about not having too many different colours on your page. It's more making them all match. And the last colour we'll do is the pink again. So that last one was blush pink, and we'll go to the pink. We'll just do the shadow there, and as you can see, that just gives it a little brightness, and it doesn't look like it's the same colours as this. So that is that one. And again, if you need to, you can blend them out using this light pressure. You don't need to do heavy pressure. I'll tell you when you need to do heavy pressure. It might be in the background here. Or I had to at one stage. So that is those two ones. So I'll put them over there. And the next one we will be doing is the sunflower here. Now there is one colour we will be, and sorry about how I cut these, like really. I'll actually be taking, I believe it's this one, the Seashell pink, to do with this one. So we're going to do this one here. So these sunflowers I saw, which just looked amazing, had sort of like a creamy colour that went into sort of like all the peachy pink tones. Now I've seen a nearly dark red sunflower, and we get most commonly here the brown and yellows, but I've never seen a pink one. I thought if I had a garden, I'd have all of that in my garden. So that was the cream 1007. Now we're going to go in and use light peach. Now, as I did with these ones, we just do it at the end here. There's no need to go deep in yet. But as you can see, it's a different colour again. So we're doing a peachy tone. Now I'm trying to keep my hand out the road. It looks easier said than done, because your brain's telling you that doesn't feel right. So the next colour we're going in is the Seashell pink, and we do the ends here. Again, just light pressure. So this is not about burnishing at this stage. You don't need to burnish, because we want the softness, but at the same time, I don't want you to have to go in and sit and blend out. So if you just keep your pencil on that page and go over it a few times, it blends it out itself. And then we're going in with the peach. Sorry about this. It's not easy doing this. I was practicing all morning trying to get it right. And then the last one is dark salmon for that one. So it's just about adding a bit of shadow there. So see where these would be. So bring that up a bit higher if you need to. I just pause for a second while I cough. Sorry about that. The weather's been extremely funny here in South Australia. In Adelaide, it's been cold one day and then the next day it's burning hot. And on the cold days it started pouring with the rain, and I think I picked up just a bit of a cold or sinus infection. So it's brought back a cough, which is very annoying. So with that one, we're going to blend it out again with the light peach. So I think that will work. And bring it up a bit closer to that yellow. But it gives it a bit of difference from the pink. And sorry about this. But do let me know in the comments if it was okay and I didn't put my hands too often in the way. Now the next ones we're going to do is blue, and we'll be using these in different ways for two different areas as well, just to give it I'll just move these ones out the way. Whoops, they're rolling everywhere. Because now for this one we'll be doing a darker blue for these ones, or a sort of a medium blue, and then down here, and here and here and here, they're going to be sort of as if they're white, but we're going to use blue for the actual shadow instead of just using grey. I just thought the grey wouldn't look right with this image, but blue is a good medium, so she'll key in with these. So the first thing we're going to do is use, when going to use the white. Now this will be no doubt no hard to see on that page, and I am using the Arrtx as white. This worked quite fine, especially for this image. You can keep the white of the page, but at the ends here, as I did with these, we're going to go in with the white at the ends, and just do that there. Now as you can see, what I do is, instead of working on one petal and then going to the next petal, I do sort of different elements and then go in with the next, especially if I'm doing a few things the same colour. So then we're going to go in with a pastel blue. Sorry about that, I put the, so this is this little swatch here. So we're going into the pastel blue. Now see the size of this one. This has to be one of my, another one of my favourites. I use these quite a lot for my artwork as well as colouring. I've actually found I really enjoy using these. So these are sort of, I just thought when I was doing these, I thought, oh, they match sort of what I'm doing. So you don't have to go right up to the top there. Leave some white. these will be a nice contrast against the pink and the peachy tones here. It's all coming together, but we'll do these two first and then we'll worry about the other three there. So the next colour we're working with is Cobalt Teal 2015. So here I'm going to do a line. I'm not sure if you can see that there, but that's a line we'll be doing, and then we're just going to go in here, along here, and bring in just at the tip there some of this blue. But I'm really enjoying these coloured pencils. Now, I'm not a, I own a lot of colour pencils, but I've stopped buying a lot of budget pencils, mainly not because I don't like them, it's just I don't need to keep buying them. The ones I have are adequate, but I will buy anything to do with my Arrtx. Ever since I've got my markers, and I've had their one company that I do actually trust, and I love buying from them. So that was the Cobalt Teal, and we're now going into Deep Sky Blue 2025. So here we go. Now we're going to deepen that line up, and this is going to give you a deep sort of colour around these. Again, you don't have to press hard. Firm, nice pressure. And it's something I've had to learn over time, because when I first started I was really heavy-handed and I hated wax pencils with a passion. I had the Prismacolors, and I was no good with them because I was too heavy-handed and I'd get this wax build up. So over time I've learnt to not have as much pressure and just do even layers. Now I like a layering pencil, but this in 2022 I really used my Prismas a lot. So for me the Arrtx feels very similar to a Prisma in the sense that but it just doesn't get as waxy. So for me these pencils are going to be used quite a bit. I still use my Prismas. I love my oil pencils as well. So the last colour we're doing here is a Deft blue. Now what we're going to do, if you can see here, is I'll start with this little one that makes it easy, gets my hand out the way. We're just going to add a bit of that darkness, especially in the joints here where you'd actually have a shadow, and darken up the lines slightly. Now I know this is hard because these are really little, but if you have your pencil sharp, now I use the dull 133 sharpener, but if you don't have that sharpener, whatever sharpener you've got will work. I'll just pause it again, I've got a cough again. So yeah, whatever sharpener you've got. Now if you find your pencils are breaking because of your sharpener, try and not sharpen them as much. I had terrible breaks. I was using a different sharpener and I had terrible breaks. Now I'm just going to brush some of this dust off because pencils do get dusty. I don't want any smudges. For once I'm trying to be non-smudgy with my pencils. So we're going to go back in, and just at the ends here we're going to blend in with the actual pastel blue. I don't want it to touch the tips, I want that still white, and we'll go in with that again before we finish. So they are a really nice bright contrast compared to the pinks. And as you can see, they are now nice and blue. So on my screen, or these may be a little bit more paler than they are in reality, so don't freak out if yours look a bit darker. Now we're going to go in now and do this one here as well as these three. So this may be a little bit difficult, so I might turn this page slightly for myself, just so my hand's not in the way. And we will be doing things a little bit differently. So how we're going to do it is the white will be the base. We will still use the pastel blue, and we'll go in with the Cobalt Teal. And I may go in with the Deft blue if we need it, but we won't use the deep sky blue. We'll see how we go. Trying to remember fully what I've done. So what I'll do is I'll just turn the page like that. Sometimes that makes it easier for you. So if you need to turn the page around whatever way you want, you can do that. You don't have to do what I'm doing. So instead of going with the white first, because we don't really need to, there is the white of the page, we're going to first go off and do where that, if you can see that there, it's like a little love heart. So just at the end, add a bit of your pastel blue. That's 2002. And these are going to be sort of like daisies. So there's that one. And then we'll go in and do just at the end. I don't want the one closest to the petals, and I forgot to shade these, so I will go back in and shade them really quick too. Naughty girl. I'm always forgetting something. But this is more, I don't want these to overpower the rest of the actual page. A bit of lightness is always good. So then we go in and use the Cobalt Teal. We do the edge here. That just makes them look like daisies. I hope you can see okay. So next week I will be doing, or I'll be filming it this Friday, my skin tone tutorial. That'll be step-by-step guide on skin tone. Now I'll be using Arrtx color pencils again for that one. This will be a 4-week tutorial. We'll be going through, first off it'll be pale skin, and I've got a chart, and I may have mentioned this already in the actual community tab, but I've got a chart drawn up, and I've actually released it onto actually DeviantArt, so if you want to use that you can. And we'll be going through on my chart, and then maybe in the future I will do a colouralong in one of Hannah Lynn's books with the skin tones as well. I don't think I'm going to have time this month, so that starts on Friday. I'm also going to be showing my uncoloured colouring books. As I may have mentioned, I'm a bit embarrassed about that one. So it's more with when you go in with the blue here, it's more about adding depth. So we're sort of going over those lines instead of just to just add that so it sort of looks different. Now with the little love hearts, where the line here is, or I'll call them, we're going to do a line, and then we're just going to slightly, because we're going to go in with white yet, do the edges here, because as I said, these are meant to be little daisies. I know there's a lot of different daisy types. We get the purple ones, but for this one I wanted it to be a nice whitish tones. So then we're going to go in with the white. Now this isn't as white as a Prism, but as you can see, it's working beautifully for this page. I don't want a huge lot of wax on this paper. So what I forgot to add is the paper I'm actually using is my Spring Hill paper. I may have mentioned it in other videos before. I use it for most of my PDFs. My husband's bought me some, but I'm waiting for it to arrive for America because I'm down to about 2 sheets now. So I'm hoping it arrives soon. So that is the daisies there. And before I forget, we'll go in and fix up those, the middle of the flowers here. Sorry about that. I always muddle something up. But because these are so tiny, it's hard to see anyway. But yeah. But as you can see, so far, no blender needed. And we're traveling pretty good. Just make sure these are dark enough to... And back to this one here we used at the start. Because if a plant is over the top of something, it's going to have a shadow cast upon whatever's underneath. So that's what, if you can learn where shadows would be, a good tip is to actually go and use like an image from Google, or take a look at a picture of a garden, or go out into your garden and have a look if you have any plants and see how the shadows are actually cast, and that gives you an idea, depending on the direction of the light as well. The shadows will look lighter or darker depending on what time of day it is. So the next one we're going to do is this beautiful plant here. Now these are going to use some purples in it for something a little bit different. So this is flower 5, and yes, don't worry about my my lovely cutting skills. But we'll first go in with Wisteria. This is 4139, and as with these, we start the end. I love the purples now. The purples in the Arrtx coloured pencils are amazing. They're really beautiful. I really think that they've added some great colours here. So going back around so you can see better. But basically, I just want it so it's not all one colour. You're using different colours because it gets boring if you use just one colour for a flower. I want it to gradually be like a gradient, going from light to dark. So the next colour we're going to go in with is Lavender. This is 4140. This is one of the new colours in the set. It's a beautiful colour, very similar to the Prismacolor ones. So if you can't find the Prismas because they've discontinued the Lavender, you can always get the Arrtx, which are very similar in colour. Oops, moving my page around. But I hope the little swatch charts here, or the little cards, have been helpful. I was trying to come up with an idea of how to do it. Now, if I get the time to edit the video fully and not spend all day doing it, I will put the number also in the corner of the screen. It is a lot of work to do that. It's different if you're doing a YouTube short, but when you go to actually do it as a on your video, it takes a long time, especially if you're changing colours frequently. So these little cards here is probably a lot easier. So do let me know if you can see these okay. But as I said, the swatch chart is available under the community tab, and I will have the colours I've used written on my actual description of this video if they all fit. So the next colour we're going to go in with is Lilac. So that's another one that got discontinued with Prismas, and this one's very similar again. So I'm happy about that because I've tried getting Lilac for my Prismas. I've got too many Lavenders. And it's not a colour I use a lot, but since doing this flower today, it's like, oh, I like that colour. It's really pretty. And they go well together. When I first did it, I thought, oh no, I've mismatched the colours, but I think it actually goes well. Gives a nice contrast. So I apologise if you hear anything in the background. My other kids have gone to bed, but my teenagers are still up. But I've tried to keep it as quiet as I can. I have to tape at night. During the day it would be terrible because Lily she's not far off turning 2, and she can climb over the baby gate now, so there's no point having it. And this room that I do my art in is the front lounge room, and I don't have a door. It's one of those open plan sort of living that we have here in South Australia. So the next one is Ultramarine Violet. This is the 4170, and this is more to add a little bit of darkness at the front here. You don't need much. It's about more just adding that little bit of something at the end here, because we will blend that out. So basically, when I go to actually blend things out too, so say like for this page, I will be using the Lilac again, where if I really want to add the lighter colours, I would have gone in with Wisteria, but I don't. I'm quite happy with how light that is. So we'll go in with a little bit of the Lilac to blend that one out. But isn't that a pretty colour? I love that. So that was Flower 5. I spent hours doing this, writing these all out. It actually I could do this in an hour, but it took me a lot longer. So this is flowers 6 and 7. So if we turn it back up like this, we're going to go into these flowers here, as well as this bigger one here. I just thought it needed something a bit different, and we'll put it back here. And here's the colours. And I need Peach Puff. That's become a favourite. I don't want to run out of my Peach Puff. So now, as I do with all of my others, here we're not going to go too much into this one because they're so tiny. Now usually I would actually go in with a cream, but today I decided to be a bit different. Now on these, we're going to do just the ends here in the Peach Puff, and it doesn't matter if you go into the actual petal here more, because this will be the lighter where it's faded to the light. But just simply turning your page sometimes into a different direction does make it easier for you to colour in. Sometimes, especially for me while I'm doing this, it's a lot better. So the next one is Baker Miller's Pink 4005. I've never heard of this colour before. So this is a new name. I think one of the girls on the Arrtx website has a video up. If I can find that, I'll actually put it up. She's on the Arrtx's fan page, and she's a colorist, and I think she does her own art as well. So we're going to colour in the whole thing, but leave that pale around the edge. And this is just a bit of a bright colour, so they're not all light peachy pinks. Of course I could go in with different colours, but I thought I haven't given this colour a go. But yeah, the video was really interesting. I found out things I'd never known before about the history of it. So the next one we'll be doing is Rose Red 3111. When I hear this name, it always reminds me of the Stephen King movie of Rose Red. If you haven't seen that one, do go and see it. It's a really good movie, especially if you like more suspense horror. I love it. It's one of my favourite horror films. I don't watch horror films very often but that one isn't really a horror. But here we're going to just go at the end, sort of like we did, to give a bit of a pop of colour. And don't worry, it's not always going to look like there's a line there. I'll be blending that out. And then last of all, it is Magenta. Now, I spelt it wrong there. I do apologise. I was trying to get dinner as well as write this chart out. So we'll go in to actually blend the two darker pinks out using the Baker Miller's Pink. That's a really catchy name too. That's a nice bright. And then we'll go with that dark one again and just do at the end there a bit of. So that is all the actual flowers done. So we are now up to the leaves, which I've got all set out. So I'll just pause a minute to clean off my desk a little because pencils are starting to build up everywhere. I'll show you a photo too of how tidy I had it at one stage. And then I dropped coffee all over my desk, so I'm having a great afternoon. So I'll just pause it for a second and I'll be back. So we're at the leaves now. So I'll just brush it off. Got a bit of some colour there from the blue. And now we're ready to go. Now, I've done some lighter for these leaves here. If I pick my, so up these ones here, we're going to do them this light blue one that I seem to like to do. I've actually been asked, would I do these leaves and show how it's done? So I'll show you. These are the colours that I used to do. So where this line is, we're going to put the parrot green. This is 5140 and just at the end. And we're going to do the same just here. Now, they're only small, so it's no real problem. If you can't get into all that detail, and then there's a leaf here. Again, not heavy pressure, just light pressure. So that's those there. And then these two leaves here. Now this is bigger so you can see better. And if I bring my pencil, I can give more. So just doing the line here, we're going to connect it there. And then just at the end here, we're going to go in with a bit of the same parrot green. And then we're going to do the same here. I'm going to curve that one because that line goes straight when really it should be curved. And around there because there's a shadow. And then we're going to do just at the end of these little, and then not to forget these, which I did forget on my original one. I always forget something. And with these ones, we'll just do at the end as well because they're that tiny. To try and get any of that sort of detail, you're going to really struggle. So I'll bring my hand around this way. I'm sorry if it creates a bit of shadow. It makes it so I can actually do it and you can actually see. Try not to go out the lines. So that was the parrot green. So we're going to go in now with pastel blue. So again, so with this one, we're just going to go right over the top. So this is a pastel blue. So you can just do all those leaves. I just thought it would be a nice change as well, because I don't like to do all the leaves just one colour. I like to do them all different colours. So especially these leaves aren't exactly the same, so they're going to be different, and neither's this one. So these will be the same, but these will be different. So you can use the same elements, the same colours for certain leaves, and then go in and other leaves do a different colour. Gives contrast and it makes it look more realistic, because not all leaves are the same. So that was the pastel blue, and now we're going to go in with grass green, and this is a pretty bright colour, so we don't want to put much in at all. So if we start here, we're just going to go around a little bit on the line to give it just a bit of brightness and add that green. Sometimes I'll go in with dark green and some pink, but most of the time I just, so that gives a bit of shadow just at the end there. And then these ones you're not really going to see it much. Same with this one. Sorry about that. going back around. It gives your hand to work out colouring like this. So that is that one done. So that was leaf style 1. So the next one, I'll put them over there. So the next one is pretty simple. That is only 3 colours as well. And this is going to be on this sleeve here and these ones here. So that sort of gives it the similar feel. So I'll put that little swatch here. And we're going to start off with the pale green, which is a lovely pastel sort of colour of green. Now, with this one, we're going to go into the tip here. And then right at the edge, we're going to do a line down the edge. So if you go in a little bit, and there, and then here, and then on this one here too. Now, the main thing is don't rush when you do your drawings. There's no need to rush. Just take your time and relax and enjoy it. So we're going to do the same as we did here for these ones. But you don't need to rush. I find if you rush your colouring, you know, you might not enjoy it as much, and colouring's just, it's not a race or a competition, it's about just enjoying what you do. Good stress relief. That's what got me to do something like this, because it meant I could actually colour and feel like I could just sit down at night when the kids are in bed and just do something for myself. And I found Johanna Basford's books, and I love Johanna Basford's books. One of my first colouring books was The Wood of Flowers, and that's one of my favourites from her. So this one, it's asparagus green, 5090. I love this green. It's a really pretty green. It reminds me of my daughter's eyes, Jasmine, her name is. It's a very pretty shade of green. So as you can see, you've got the edge there, so it's like a slight glow. And then here we're just going to go in to the whole leaf. But if you didn't have a printer to do a PDF, you could do this in a book, with any book that's got flowers. Just practice, have fun. That was my main thing. And that is that one. That was asparagus green, one of my favourite greens in the set. And then we're going to go with dark teal. I know it's very different, but it just gives it just a bounce of colour, sort of like a shadow. So as with the petals, I don't want the shadow to overtake, but here I'm going to do a line, and I'm just going to go around the edge. So it gives it a shadow, as if the actual petal sitting on that leaf, and you have the shadow there. And as you can see, it just adds depth to the actual leaf. And then we go around here. Sorry if I'm casting too much shadow myself. Being awkward Annie. But yeah, all my colour-alongs, I really want to just teach the way I do things and just to have fun while doing it. So with this one, we're actually going to go up around the edge here and then in down there. So we're going to go up around the edge and then a bit up. Don't worry, we'll blend this one out, because I want these to be a bit darker than these ones. So we'll go back, now that we've done that, and we'll go back into the asparagus green. So as I was saying, when I blend out, I use the colour before. So to blend out that dark teal, blending it out with this colour means it's not changing the colour, it's just blending that out. Because I don't want the colour to go any lighter or darker. So if I actually went in with the pale green, just at the ends there, and lightened up the edge, but it's not going to actually make the actual darker green look any lighter, because that's not what I want. Because the main focus is the flower is sitting on the leaf. Now, while I was looking at this, I thought, well, if you look at it here, these leaves would extend into here. So these little stars here, we're actually going to go in with the actual dark teal. Now, there's method to my madness here. And we're actually just going to colour them all in that green, as if the actual leaves are underneath that flower. So that just gives it, and we'll be blending that out again with a different colour later on, so don't worry. So that is that done now, and that looks, I know that the star looks a bit odd, but once I do the background you'll notice what I'm up to. So that was leaf number 2, and for the last one of the leaves we're going to do a brighter green leaf, because you need a bit of difference. But we don't want to go too nuts with this one, because both of these colours are very bright. So we're only going to use them very little. So around the edge here, we're going to go in with the chartreuse. Just around the edge. Again, that glow effect. That aside, and the next one is apple green 5099. Now again, I don't want a lot of this, just the end there, because I don't want too much brightness to overpower everything else. We'll put that one down. And the next colour is Chromium Oxide Green 5419. We're going to go over this. Now, don't worry. Again, I will blend it in with the actual apple green. So at the moment, it might look really, really dark. But don't fear. I'll get it done. But again, another way I do blending is, and especially I'll show with the background, but I start as a heavier hand at the start, especially if I'm starting with shadow, and then blend it out. And as I gradually move my pencil up, I take the pressure off. So you're going from a dark here to more light. And that is one way you actually don't need to use another colour pencil. You can actually shade with just one colour, doing it in that way. So the last one is dark green 5511. We're just going to go in just a little bit of shadow where the flower would be on top, especially here. because as you can see here, the leaf is sitting on top of this leaf, so you'd have shadow there. So that's that. Now we're going to go in and slightly, I don't want any pressure with this. This is more just going over the top to blend that out. So don't add pressure, just use that to blend out those colours. Now, so that is all the leaves done. Now we're up to the background, which is the fun part. So with this, you will probably be using more pressure. Now, if you need to use a blender pencil, feel free to use one. I'm pretty open with everything I do. I sometimes will use a blender pencil myself for backgrounds, but for this one I didn't need to, but it doesn't mean you can do the same. So do use a blender pencil if you need to. So the first colour we're actually going to go in with is Jade Blue. We're going to start doing the shadows. So where I want the shadows is around the flowers here, and around the flowers here, and around here. Don't worry about that, that'll I always seem to do that. But we're going to go in with just light pressure. We're not here at the moment. So darker pressure, as I said, moving out light, as you can see. There, where it's just light. Because this is just the base colour at the moment. But this will give vibrancy once done. But yes, so we're going in doing the shadow. Because if you had a flower and it was sitting on something else, like if you, for instance, if I have that there, you can see the shadow on the paper there. So that is how we want to sort of make it so there's a shadow underneath the flowers, if that's a simple explanation. And I'll go just a little bit up here, but again, as I do it, darker here, then blending out to very light there. And the reason I do that is because then it blends better with the next colour that I plan to use, which is the aqua. But right now we're doing the actual shadow. So with this, go in to all these little nooks and crannies and colour those in. You don't want to miss any. And again, a little bit of shadow here. Now we're not going to go fully in front of these ones. We're just going to go in between slightly. So, and we're going to do these here, but we're not going to go in front sort of thing. We'll just slightly, very pale. Now these dots here, I'm ignoring them because you can either colour around them, but I'm actually going to wipe them out with my gel pen. But it's totally up to you. We're here to have fun, and there's no straight rules with colouring. You can do it the way you want to. This is more of a guide how I do things. Now I hope this video isn't too long for you guys. I've tried to pick this image so it's a bit not as long as a big page, but it still takes time, even these little images. So we've done the shadow there, which I'm pretty happy with. I might just bring that over just very lightly, and then we're going to start here. Now as I said, I don't always add shadow everywhere, but we're going to do sort of just a little bit here, and then around here, and again I'll be whitening them out, but it's up to you. If you don't have a white paint pen or a white gel pen, you might want to colour them in yellow or anything you want to be a little sparkles. But we're using the same pressure we used for the actual image in total. So now, as you can see, even with all that we've done here, most of my pencils are still pretty sharp. So it's not, it's when I really burnish, I really blow through my pencils. And we may have to burnish, I don't know. I did burnish with my original, but I might try and make it so you don't have to worry about that. So with this one, I'm just going to turn this around for now, because I don't want my hand in the way. So if I do slip up, do let me know. I'm totally new to this colouring while videotaping myself. It's not something that comes naturally. And I think a lot of people don't realise how difficult it really is. So I take my hat off to all those YouTubers. Rachel Henderson, she does so many wonderful videos. And you got Lucy and Shell from Shell's Colouring. They all do amazing. Colouring with Kay. Corey from Colour Free Optimistic. Colour Me Stress Free. I watch them all. I enjoy watching my colouring videos. Actually, funny enough, the first ones I came across was, I think it was Sarah and A. Clark's, because I was actually watching Super Ray Dazzle or Dizzle, I think it is, and I used to watch her page a lot, and through that, one day it came up with Sarah and A. Clark's video, and she was the first video I actually watched, and then learned more about coloured pencils. And through there, I became a member of her Facebook group. And she's taught me so much about pencils. And she's a lovely lady. So, that is the shadow. And we will be going back in with this one after. So, let's bring that back in. If I put it here, hope you can see that. So now we're going to go in with the light aqua. That is 2071. So the reason I actually sort of graded it out so it was lighter here is so it blends in with the actual light aqua better. Now again, using light pressure, we're going from here where the actual darker was, and we're going in. So this blends this out. So you're doing two things at once. Now, if you have a very toothy paper, it might end up being that you need to use a blender. Now this paper's pretty good. I think this is the Spring Hill 110 pound. I could be wrong. I found out about it from Pamela's Passion for Pencils, and she uses a lighter one than this, and this is the only one available at the time. So I ended up getting this 110, and since using that, I love it. I love it for my swatch charts, and I've got Nina and everything, but this is the one I really liked for me personally. But I believe Spring Hill had a paper shortage. I may have been wrong, but yeah, so we're going in here, and it's just about bringing it all together. Now, I did burnish the background with the other, but that's mostly, we can do that for this, but I think it's actually pretty looking at with it coming where it's not so, it's got the light, where when you burnish, which is very hard on your hands, it's not easy. But I really like I love the aqua colour in this set as well. And I thought, well, we haven't used aqua in the rest of the page, so I thought, oh, the aqua would look really good. But as you can see, you can already see that it's actually popping off the page with going in light and then, but if you actually, as you can see, I do bigger circles as well, especially for backgrounds. Colored pencil backgrounds, I didn't get for a long time. I was terrible at them, and it's just been practicing. Because I'm heavy-handed, I've had to teach myself to actually do those light layers, and it doesn't feel natural for me. So now I've taught myself how to do it. It just feels all right, but it's something I didn't learn overnight, because I know people say hold your pencil at the end here and do light layers like this, but to me that doesn't feel natural. So I've learnt to actually try and just very lightly, as if your pencil's just skimming across the page. And over time you will learn the way you want to do things, and that's what I like about colouring, because we all do things so different. And it's not something that comes naturally for a lot of people. Like for me, I don't usually pick out my colours before I start a colouring page. I wing it. That's what I'm calling it, wing it. An Australian term. Basically means that I pick as I go. I look at the pencil and I think, oh, that looks good, I'll use that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I know a lot of people actually do sit there and actually plan out their colours really well, and I'm not one of them. Though I have started my little notebook, so I'm now going back over those little bits, and then we'll get to here. So I actually like this being lighter, so I hope it's alright if we keep it that way, because I wasn't happy with how dark it was before, but we will go over it. So as you can see, I'm colouring on the side, so sort of just skimming the pencil on the page. It's not, I'm not heavy-handed, and just practice. That's all I can say. Do what you do, keep doing it, and over time, if you can, if you really want to change how you do things, you can do that. Just learn something new and you will get better. But I've not had any problems with these pencils at all on most of my colouring books, to be honest. I found they work from the Amazon paper on this paper really well, the Nina paper. Johanna Basford books, they're beautiful in. I'll be trying them soon in Christine Caron's new book. I've ordered that. So I'll just pick something. There's something underneath my page. I don't know what it was. So as you can see, that's the background done there. So you can go over and darken things up. For some reason, it's now wanting to go funny. So what we're going to do is go back in with the jade blue and darken up the shadows a bit more. So we will darken things up to so yes, this is coming along really well. We're not far from being done. So I know this video has probably gone on long enough. And it does take me time to do my images. I'm not a fast colorist. As I said, it's not a race for me. I like to colour in. It's something that I'm passionate about. I love colored pencils. And it's at night for me, when I'm not YouTubing now, just getting there and doing something like colouring means I feel like I've achieved something, and it's just relaxing, something I can do when the kids are asleep, or sometimes I'll sit out here and colour, and the kids love joining in at times, especially my daughter Jasmine, and Lily loves to try. Jack, he has a few of my Kirby books. He's 7 years old, and he likes to colour, so they all have some books of their own. Now we're going to go back in to blend that out with the actual light aqua again. Now, as I said, I'll try and make it so my hand's not in the way. So we'll start off this side, and again, medium pressure. And right at the end, we'll be using that dark indigo blue. But yes, doing backgrounds, especially when I was new to colouring, was really difficult for me. I really struggled, especially coloured pencil background. So a lot of my colouring books, I'll sit there and do soft pastels because it takes a lot less time. Sure, I have to use a fixative, but it takes less time. Now, for some reason, that part of the page does not want to blend too well. I'm not sure what was on the paper. But I know this takes time, so I may fasten up colouring the background for you guys if I need to. I don't want you to be sitting here watching me do a background for an hour. That'd be very boring. And I know at this stage this would be fantastic to use a blender. I'm just showing you how to do it without a blender today. For a bigger background, definitely go nuts with the blender. Or use soft pastels. Though I love my colour pencils. It's just something about pencils, and for me, and distress ink's good too. I've been hit and miss with my distress ink though. I also use gelatos. They're by Pastel, and I don't think they're being made anymore. I could be wrong, but I purchased them back when I started colouring, and a couple have dried out, which they're okay because they can reactivate with water, but for some reason they dried out. And the lid's still on, but I had an awful time with one of them the other day. They just did not want to blend out at all. And it's been a while since I do a total pencil background, so I'll turn that page around again as I usually do. And you could have it where sometimes I'll actually do it where there's like a moonlight in the middle, but today I thought we'd just do aqua. Now, as you can see, it's blending out really well. Now there is still some white to the page. I wouldn't worry about that too much unless you don't like that. If you don't like that, you can burnish, which I will show you my after of the original picture I've done, which is totally burnished. And burnishing is just basically you're putting very heavy pressure. You're going to break the fibres of the paper and flatten those fibres out, and you will get the most beautiful, vibrant colours, but it can hurt your hands and you will go through your colour pencil a lot. Now for my artwork, for my Sailor Moon and things like that, I did burnish, but you don't always have to burnish. And with colouring books, most of the time I don't burnish. But we're nearly done. It's not that far and we'll be done. I was thinking before I do the skin tutorial, I may release a video on how I blend the colour pencils. If you'd like that, or more to show you how I do it properly, instead of just on this image, I'll do it on a piece of paper and show it, because I know I've been asked how I do it, how I get my Arrtx colour pencils to look this way, and if I can be any assistance in learning something new, and just to show you how I do things. I don't know everything, I'll admit that, but I'm pretty good with my colour pencils now. And I love seeing people learn new skills. one is the light aqua. So that's blended in pretty well. And as you can see, you do have the darkness under the plants as well as the light here. But now we're actually going to add shadow. So the reason I did the dark green here is we're going to slightly go over that and add some shadow to that. Because as I said before, if you had something and there's a shadow there, you would actually have a shadow. So if something's underneath something, you'd have shadow. So we're going to go around and just light. You don't have to do it heavy pressure. We can blend this out again with the actual jade blue. But this is about adding a shadow. And I find going in with a darker blue or a different colour blue is a really good way to actually add shadow, because not everything would actually look the same. We're going to do it back here. And we're going to do a little bit here. We don't have to do it everywhere. That's what the beauty of doing art is. You don't have to do it realistic. I'm terrible at realism. I'm the first one to say that. But if you can actually learn, one of the key things to learning is where shadow and light. And one day I will do a tutorial on light source and shadows, and to teach that, because I think that's one of the things that even when I was back doing the pixel art, it was one of the topics we used to all talk about on the forums, and people really did struggle with that. So it's something, a new skill you can learn for your colouring pages. So that is the shadow there. Now I don't want to go too deep into that. I just want it like a light shadow behind these plants. So we'll do this one here. Again, light layers. We don't want to press too hard. And we only want it to happen in certain areas. You don't want it everywhere. So we're not going to go up full the flower, just around. But now it actually makes that green around sort of blend in more with this background. We'll do this little bit here, and then I will move this around to make it easier for myself, and we'll do this one here. So just around the edge here, blending it in, using a little scribbles, as I call them. And then in this, where there's actually quite a bit, we won't go right up. We'll just do half there. So there you go. So here we've added shadow, the background. Now we haven't had to use a blender. Now there is still some white to the page. If that is something you don't like, then do use a blender. But to me, it looks pretty good. Now we're going to go in with the white gel pen. Now you can use a white paint pen. You can use whatever you have available. I just want to make those be sort of like little dots, little sparkles. Now I'm using a 10. This is the Sakura Jelly Roll in white. I'm using a 10 because my 8 one is being very temperamental, and my 5 one, well, that's totally impossible to get started. So we're just going to go over, and now the 10's playing up. I can't win with them at the moment. So we're going to cover up those dots, because I just want it to look as if it's little sparkles of light. And where there's a little sparkle here, you can put a dot there. I don't want dots all over the page on this one. And then a little dot here. There's some dots here, so it looks a bit and then a little now I have heard with these, run a bit of hot water and wipe the tip off and put the actual tip under the hot water to unclog it. You can rub it on a piece of paper, but they do seem to get clogged, and it's any paint pen or gel pen has that problem. So again here, and then one there. There's little spots here. Might make those little black dots disappear. But there you go. So that is all the little white there. You can add white anywhere you want. You can make those black circles disappear entirely. But that is my very first Colouralong. So I hope that has been helpful to you. I'll just brush that off. And that you've been able to follow it easily. I hope my hand hasn't been in the way at all. If you liked this video, press like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. I'm really pleased with how everything's going at the moment. And if you'd like to learn about skin tone, especially light skin tone, which will be this month's for February, that'll be released over the weekend. So do check back for that one, but I will do a post in the community tab. So again, if you'd like to have the swatch chart for this, it is in the community chart. I've put the colours below, and I just want to say thank you so much for sitting here and following my colour along. This is my very first one, which is, I hope it's gone a lot smoother than my time lapse. So thank you so much. Have a great day and come back again.